What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video at JDH Aquatics, where we do anything aquariums related in my apartment while I'm in college. So pretty much today I want to go over kind of a slew of things that are going to make up a concoction of what is going to be your first reef tank. Or if you already have an aquarium set up and a couple corals in it, maybe this is going to be an upgrade for you and you just want a foundation on what your next reef tank could be. So today we're going to be talking about which aquarium is right for you. Now there's a couple ways to go about this in the thought process, and I've done it both ways. You can start with thinking about what livestock you're going to want to keep. That could be anemones, could be a certain species of a fish. You could want an SPS dominated aquarium. So you can start with the livestock and then build your tank from there. Or you can start with your aquarium and then over time you kind of discover and figure out what you want to put into the tank once it's already set up. It's a little bit more exciting setting up a tank and then over time putting things in, at least in my opinion, because that way you don't really know what you're expecting, or you don't know the next coral or the next fish that you're gonna get. Whereas if you have a certain species of fish, or if you have a certain group of corals that you want to keep, you probably already have an idea of what kind of tank you're gonna set up. So in that case, you might have a straighter path in terms of what tank you're gonna get, versus if you're just setting up a random tank for the space that you have, you might kind of be all over the place in terms of what equipment you're gonna get, because you don't know exactly what species you're gonna be keeping. So there's a couple different routes you can go in terms of the thought process, but today we're gonna be talking about in terms of buying the aquarium first. There's a few different kinds of aquariums you can get, at least in today's market now. What I have to the right of me is a Fiji Cube all-in-one system. So what that means is that the filtration is built into the aquarium itself. It's not separate. It's not under the tank, it's not hanging off the side of the aquarium, it's built into it. So this little black chamber behind me is where all the filter media as well as some of the equipment is hidden. Just off the bat, I'm gonna say that all-in-ones have to be probably my favorite style of aquarium. Even in some larger applications, I know Innovative Marine makes a 60 gallon, I believe, or an 80 gallon all-in-one aquarium, which is a sick tank. That's something I would definitely love to get set up in the future. But this is a 38 gallon, so it's still a nano-sized aquarium, but having the all-in-one in a nano setup it's almost unmatched. Now what I have to the left of me is my anemone only tank. This is just a standard Aqueon aquarium, so there's no built-in filtration. So we have a simple hang on the back filter. It's a Aqua Clear 70, I believe. It fits perfectly on the side, it adds enough flow for the aquarium, but that's what we've got for the filtration on this tank. Now the third type of filtration and type of aquarium you're gonna have is a standalone aquarium with a sump underneath, and the sump is going to house all your filtration and all of your equipment, similar to how this part of the aquarium, like I was telling you earlier, would house all of your equipment and filter material. That would be what the sump is. Now if you're new, these are obviously going to be new things to you, but this is pretty standard in the aquarium hobby. I believe some systems have been around much longer than an all-in-one system, so those are pretty tried and true, and you'll typically see sumps set up on larger aquariums. Now there's benefits and drawbacks to all of them. In general, I would say sumps and all-in-ones are probably going to be your best bet when it comes to keeping coral. You can get away with having a standalone aquarium with a hang-on back filter, like I'm experimenting here, but it's a lot easier for a beginner to get into an all-in-one, especially for like a nano-sized tank. Sumps are awesome because they hide all the equipment and filter media under the tank, whereas in an all-in-one, you kind of still have exposed wires sticking out the top on the side of the aquarium or wherever your all-in-one chamber is. Sumps do take up space, so you're gonna have to put it underneath the tank or aside the tank or find somewhere to put the sump. Whereas an all-in-one, it's obviously just built into the aquarium, so wherever your tank goes, the all-in-one system goes with it. And the drawbacks with the hang on the back filter is that it's a really small compartment. There's not a ton of space to put filter material, and there's pretty much no space to put any other kinds of equipment. Benefits for me on a hang on back filter is that they're cheap. Benefits for an all-in-one is that it's built into the aquarium, so it's gonna go, like I said, wherever the tank goes. And the benefit for the sump is that you get to hide all of your equipment as well as increase your water volume in your aquarium system. If you're a beginner, you're probably gonna be getting into a nano-sized aquarium, anywhere between 20 and 40 gallons. And in that space, that's where you're gonna see a lot of all-in-one systems. So if you are a beginner, I would definitely recommend an all-in-one system. But if you have the space and you wanna experiment, you can definitely get a tank with the sump. Now, I don't really wanna touch on aquarium size too much, but I do wanna talk a little bit about aquarium shape. There's a couple different styles of aquariums. You've got peninsulas, you've got cubes, you've got standard rectangular tanks. Those I would say are probably the top 3 most common reef tank styles that are out there right now. I have a peninsula set up on the right side of me right here. The Fiji Cube is a peninsula. I kind of have it set up as a standard like rectangle tank, and then just the filtration on the left, because you can't see from the other side, you can only see from the front and from the left side. But maybe when I move and have a different setup in another apartment, I can have it set up as a true peninsula. The tank on the left of me, the anemone only tank, is a standard rectangle tank, so you can see it from 3 sides. But again, I have it kind of set up as a peninsula to mimic the Fiji Cube. So you can see it again from 2 sides, but you can see it straight through, if that makes any sense. And then a cube is what it is. You can get a lot of awesome aquascapes out of a cube. You are slightly restricted when it comes to a cube, in my opinion, but again, you can get some awesome aquascape styles. Moving away from aquariums, we're gonna jump into lighting, which again is one of the most controversial topics when it comes to aquariums, especially when it comes to keeping coral. When I started to think about this segment in particular of this video, I obviously am going to incorporate T5s and fluorescents as well as metal halides. However, I've had 0 experience with keeping either of those fixtures. I've never kept metal halides and I've never kept a T5 fixture. When it comes to me in particular and the lights that I've bought for the multiple tanks that I've had over the years, I've always stuck to LEDs. I'm gonna be honest and say that there's other videos out there that have better information in terms of metal halides and T5s, because there are some good hybrid setups that you can see on like Bulk Reef Supply, for example, that incorporate possibly metal halides and T5s, as well as like T5s and LEDs is a more common combination that you'll see. So I've used LEDs for a reason, and me personally, I think LEDs is the best choice for a hobbyist reefer, someone that's just trying to enjoy a few corals in their tank. I think an LED is the best option. And so for that, in this video, we're only going to be talking about LED fixtures. I hope I don't offend anyone by saying that. I just want to talk about LEDs because that's what I have experience with, and I don't want to talk about things that I don't really know about. So when we go and talk about LEDs, I feel like there's a couple different directions you can go, and that's the direction of going with the high-end brands like Kessel, Aqua Illumination, and Radion. Of course, there's other brands that are very expensive as well. And then you can go the other direction, which is kind of what I've done over the past couple of years, and that is buying Amazon LEDs and a little bit more budget-friendly LED light fixtures. When you're going with the more expensive brands, of course, you're gonna get the controllability, you're gonna get good color, and they're name brands, so of course that kind of comes with the price. But that doesn't mean that the other cheaper products are bad or worse than those ones. So if you're a new beginner and you're starting out and you're kind of not sure about the hobby, I would start out with an Amazon LED. It's very inexpensive. You can get a nice fixture with some controllability for around $100 to $150 versus something that's gonna be maybe $300 to $400 if you're talking about a name brand light. But if you get into the hobby and you're just kind of getting your feet wet, then I would definitely jump on YouTube, check out some reviews on some of these Amazon LED light fixtures, and maybe pick one up. Now, the last topic that I want to talk about is kind of after you buy everything and buy all of your equipment, and that is your aquascape. And that's something that you're going to create. It kind of goes off the topic of which aquarium is right for you, but in talking about setting up the aquarium and setting up the aquarium that is right for you, aquascaping is a very big part of that. I would say that we've moved away from the rock wall, and that a lot of the reefing hobbyists have taken from the ADA guys and the freshwater aquascapers over there and have really tried to make some masterpieces with the aquascapes inside the reef tanks. I feel like there's one big rule that I like to keep in mind when I'm aquascaping, and that doesn't matter what kind of corals I'm putting in the tank, and that is to have enough space for water to flow around the base of the rocks. So in my tank in particular here, I've got 3 main bases that the aquascape sits on, but there's crevices and spaces around those bases for water and flow to move through. So when you're aquascaping, try not to have just piles of rock in the tank, because that can collect a lot of detritus and things that you don't want inside the water column. Whether you're keeping softies that need space to grow or SPS that need to be placed on rocks high up in the tank, I would try to make your aquascape as free flowing as possible. So that's all I got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this little kind of short video talking a little bit about what might be the best reef aquarium setup for you. Those are just a few points. I know there's a lot lot more that goes into it in setting up these tanks, but those are very important topics to think about, especially in the very beginning stages of getting into this hobby and getting your first tank set up. If you guys do have any questions, please comment down below. Be sure to check out my socials, links are in the description below as well. But with all that being said, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.